Hey guys, and welcome to Craving for Baking. Today we're going to be making this delicious pizza dough, and when I say delicious, I mean delicious. And I know I say that a lot, but this is really the bomb. So you're going to need some sugar, yeast, and as always the ingredients are listed in the description below as well as on the screen. You'll need some water, and this has to be at a certain degrees, so go ahead and get yourself a sugar thermometer or a normal thermometer that can be used on food and and check the degrees, which has to be between 45 degrees Celsius and 50. You'll also need some salt and some flour, and as well as that you'll also need some olive oil. So let's put this all together and eat it. So we're going to start with our water, and to make this easy you can put it in a saucepan and boil the water until it gets to the right temperature. Well, not boil it, but you know, heat it up so it's at the right temperature. Then you want to add in the yeast, and you just want to do a light motion with this, but it doesn't really matter since we just want to activate the yeast, we don't want to kill it. And then you want to add in your sugar because that is what the yeast feeds on. And if you remember from my last pizza dough video, which didn't use yeast at all, the sugar also helps balance out the flavour. So you want to mix all of that together to make sure the yeast is combined with the water and the sugar, and then you want to set that aside so it can activate. Now into a large bowl we want to add in our flour, and I'm using plain flour. You can also use strong white bread flour, but I found it doesn't really matter at all. So plain flour or strong white bread flour will do the job either way. Then you want to add in your salt, and then using a wooden spoon you can just mix that all together to make sure everything is nice and combined and all the flavour has been distributed well between the mixture. So you give that a nice mix. Then you want to make a well in the center, and into that well you want to add in your oil. And we don't have a lot here, so it's not going to be a very oily kind of pizza dough, you know, the ones that when you bite into it, it kind of leaves this grease kind of texture in your mouth. Yeah, it's not like one of them, so it's not a lot of oil at all. Then you want to mix that all together so everything is completely combined and incorporated. Now, if you're using fast action dried yeast, then it should activate pretty quickly, but if you're not, and you're just using normal dry yeast, then you might want to wait 10 minutes before you pour it into the into the flour mixture. So just add in your yeast mixture once it's activated or starts to get foamy at the top and you can smell a good aroma of yeast, and then you want to mix that up until it forms a very sticky, tacky kind of dough. Once it's formed that, you want to leave it alone. Now onto your work surface, you're going to dust it with some flour. Make sure that it's heavily coated with flour, as this dough is really sticky and you really don't want to get loads of dough onto your work surface, as it's kind of hard to take off. But make sure that you have your work surface floured so that nothing sticks. So once you get your dough, you want to turn it out onto your floured work surface, and to stop the board from sliding, just put a dish towel underneath it. And again, I didn't do this, but you can sure do that, and it kind of annoyed me, so you might want to do that if you find that your work surface is kind of moving while you're working with it. And eventually I did do it. So now you just want to knead your pizza dough until it's very smooth, and it will feel really soft. It will still be warm since the water that we used was hot, but it will be very, very soft, and you just want to knead that until it gets really smooth, and it's still a little bit sticky because that's the right consistency we want it. We don't want it to be a bit too tough, because that's not going to make a very nice tasting pizza dough, and it's going to be a bit tough to chew on. And this recipe, I've used it so many times, it's great and it gets better every time. So you just want to turn that into a little ball, and then you want to put it into an oiled bowl. So here I'm just getting the remains of the oil that was left in my tablespoon measuring thing, and I'm just putting that into the bowl. Then I got some more oil and made the bowl was really well greased, and using my fingers because we're making dough, come on, we need to get dirty with this. So you want to get your fingers and rub the oil all over the bowl and make sure it's really well greased, since when this dough will puff up and rise, then it will not stick when you've finished and you're turning it out. So now we just put the dough in there, and to prevent the dough forming a crust, you want to roll it into that oiled bowl so that the oil kind of gets coated onto the dough as well as the bottom also. And then you want to get a towel, a normal dish towel, make sure it's like not a used one, because that's not good at all. And then you want to just cover your dough and then put it into a place to cool. Now I put my dough into the microwave because I find that it helps let the dough rise better. It's also good if you can put the dough in your oven while something's cooking on the stove. That's also really good to help the dough get a nice rise to it. Now we're going to turn the dough onto your floured surface, and we're just going to knead the dough, not a lot. We want to maintain a little bit of the air that was in there, and you're going to see this dough is going to be really soft and pliable, and it's going to be so good to work with. But you can't use it now. You're going to put this back into your oiled bowl and leave it to proof or rise for about another 10-15 minutes or so, and this is just going to help make the dough super soft, and it won't rise as much as it did before, but it will definitely still rise, and it will be so good, I promise you. So once it's done its second rising, then you want to give that another good knead until it's pretty much a nice, smooth, still soft dough, and it will be very good. Don't give it too much of a knead though, you want it to be as slight as possible. Now we're going to make sure that our dough has maintained its disc shape, and we're going to cut it in half. I find that this dough makes two pretty decent sized pizzas, but you can sure use one if you want a kind of thicker crust, and that's perfectly fine. Now you want to do it to fit your pizza pan or however big you want the pizzas for, and then you want to make sure you prick your pizza dough with holes so that it doesn't puff up as much. Now we're going to pre-bake this dough in the oven for about 5 to 10 minutes until it's golden on top, and then we're going to top it with whatever we want, and it's perfect. And you can see this is the dough. You can make pizza breadsticks with it. And I made my own pizza here, as you can see. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see my previous pizza dough recipe, then it will be linked in the description box as well as on the screen. And I'll see you guys next time for my next recipe. There'll be more to come. So see you guys next time. Bye!